Good afternoon. My name is Marty O'Shea, Superintendent of Schools for the Longmeadow Public Schools, and I want to thank our partners at LCTV for giving me this opportunity to provide an update to our learning community. Today is Friday, March 20th, and we will periodically issue these LCTV-based updates. To begin, I would like to offer my well wishes to all the families and staff out there who are coping and through this very, very difficult time. I appreciate and recognize the resilience with which staff and families and students have approached this, the displays of creativity, of good humor, of flexibility, I think have sustained us all as a learning community through this tough time. Certainly we're all dealing with new and challenging schedules as we try to balance new life, work, learning routines. Even in my own home, I'm happy to have two of my adult children home with us, and they are safely with us, and I'm very appreciative of that, but I've forgotten about the mess that they can create and how expensive it is to feed them. So certainly, again though, I'm happy to have them with me under my roof. What I've heard from our teachers regularly over the last week or so is that they miss the students, that they miss the children in their classes. And I think it's caused all of us to further understand the reasons that we entered education in the first place. They're very eager and interested in staying connected with our students. And likewise, I've heard that from families. I've heard that families, parents and guardians have indicated to us that the children are very interested in staying connected to their teachers. So that connectedness is critical, I think, for all of us at this juncture. I think some of us have heard the explanation that we shouldn't call it social distancing, that we ought to call it physical distancing, that it's important to keep our social connections as alive as possible under these tough circumstances. As I begin, I want to note that my intention here is not necessarily to dive into any health-related information. For that, I rely on the expertise of our town emergency manager, Beverly Hirshhorn, the local health agent, and they have posted some great resources to the town website. So for folks looking for information on the coronavirus and its impacts and the precautions and steps that we need to take, I would encourage our families and our staff to visit that town website. And I again thank Chief Dearborn for his amazing leadership in helping us all navigate through these uncharted waters. As I begin, I wanted to review some of the guidance that we provided to our educators and shared also with our families. And I think the guidance that we have at this time, it rests on three important assumptions. Number one, we recognize that students will not have access to the typical supports that they enjoy during a regular school day. And we also recognize that we cannot possibly replicate all the good that happens in a regular school day when peers have an opportunity, students have an opportunity to be with their peers and learn from their teachers. So that is that's a critical assumption as we move forward. The other thing is that I want to reiterate that we are trying to be respectful and mindful of the schedules and routines that families are trying to establish, and we recognize that households at this time are very, very busy, and so we're trying to strike a balance between providing some meaningful learning opportunities and also understanding that there are some new routines and schedules and challenges that families are working through. The other thing that it really rests on the assumption that we trust the judgment and professionalism of our teachers. They're compassionate people who want to support families and want to sustain learning through this closure period. So the guidance that we have laid out really rests on a few things. One is that we want educators to stay connected. Teachers play a very critical role in a family's life and a student's life, and they are a source of comfort and stability, and we want that to continue during the closure period. Our teachers have been and will continue to be timely and professional in their responsiveness to families. And our goal right now is to keep students academically engaged. Again, understanding that we can't possibly replicate a typical school day. The emphasis at this point is on enrichment, it is on skill enhancement, it is on review, it is on perhaps revisiting material that is comfortable and familiar to students. We hope that as much as possible, the work that is being provided is encouraging student self-direction as well. So the other assurance, finally, that I want to give our families is that when students return to school, whether it be April 7th or a date after that, we will meet learners where they are. We understand that the growth and progression that they will have during the closure period will not match the growth and progression that they would have had they been in school during that time. And so our obligation is to be flexible, to give students opportunities to revisit assignments, and to create opportunities for growth when students return. So one of the main questions that we have received from staff and families relates to if and when we will return. And I don't pretend at the time of this taping to have any special insight on that. I think much of my information is coming from the Department of Education and some of the media reports that are accessible to all of us. I will say that at this time, at the time of this taping, it appears that our students will not have to attend school beyond the 185th scheduled day of school. We have a 180-day school calendar. We build in 185. The Department of Education has said that schools will not have to go beyond that 185th scheduled day, which in our case would put us to Wednesday, June 24th. The other thing that I would note is that if this were to continue longer, I think it would be an opportunity for us to reframe our expectations for staff and families and students. We have to think long and hard about the expectations that we have, the work that we're requiring, the accessibility of these learning opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. One of the things that I think that the state is exploring is some statewide supports to allow for remote learning. Short of that, we would look at some district-wide or school-wide approaches as well. Again, I appreciate the amazing creativity and resourcefulness that our educators have used over the last few weeks, and our administrators have used, and we'll be looking for more of that in the days ahead. One of the other expectations that we've talked about is sort of relates to grading of student work. We right now have given teachers some discretion to, in some cases, continue to grade student work in grades 6 through 12. And so we will, right now that grading really is a situation where we want to give students an opportunity to demonstrate to their teachers what they know and are able to do. We expect that the graded assignments will be those that are sort of familiar again and comfortable for our students, and that's something that I'm sure our teachers are handling with great discretion and care. It might be that if this continues beyond April 6th that we will need to revisit our expectations in that area and perhaps look at pass-fail arrangements or no credit arrangements. Really, through it all, the importance here is on student engagement and keeping students involved with their learning, keeping them connected to their teachers, and that will remain our commitment in the weeks, perhaps months ahead. I also want to note that we will be taking a look with the school committee on our expectations, our guidelines, our hopes for teachers that are eager to use synchronous video-based supports for teaching and learning. We know there is some interest in that. We recognize that it's valuable, but we want to make sure that our teachers are using these tools with clear guidance, clear expectations. We want to make sure that they're using these tools safely, and that, again, we're being respectful of family privacy, that we're being respectful of family routines. So more on that probably as early as the middle of next week, so stay tuned. The other question that I've received frequently relates to end-of-year tests. I got off the phone today on a statewide conference call with superintendent colleagues and the Commissioner of Education and other senior staff at the Department of Education. They indicate simply that they are looking at and exploring all options with regard to MCAS testing. That could include reducing the amount of testing. It could include changing the testing windows. It could even include eliminating those end-of-year standardized exams completely. Again, this is a very fluid situation. This is the situation at 1:30 on Friday, March 20th, and perhaps by the time you're viewing this, we'll have additional clarity from the department on MCAS and accountability expectations. So stay tuned for more information on that. We also just received a notice from the College Board that the way advanced placement testing will be delivered will change significantly at the end of this year. We do have hundreds of dedicated students who are enrolled in advanced placement courses at Long Meadow High School. And our expectation right now is that traditional face-to-face advanced placement exams will not occur, and that the College Board is developing some online options to replace those traditional AP exams for this year. They have signaled to us that there will be 2 testing windows for all students taking AP exams. In other words, a student might have the opportunity to take the exam now if they feel ready and prepared, or perhaps they could put off that test until a later date if they need additional time to practice and prepare. So this hopefully hits on some of the issues that are of concern to our staff and families. I recognize that there are many more things that need to be figured out and determined. We recognize that the ripple effects of this closure period could extend into next year and beyond in many ways. Be assured that we will continue to engage families and staff, that we'll continue to communicate effectively, and that we'll work with the Long Meadow Education Association and the school committee to resolve some of the questions that are in front of us. So thank you for your time and attention this afternoon. Greatly appreciated. Again, my very best wishes to all our families, all our staff, and our students as they work through this very unprecedented time. Thank you so much.